Most people fear silence because it forces them to face what they've been avoiding, themselves. But that's not why silence terrifies them when you use it. They fear it because silence strips away their control. And control is everything. You're watching this because someone tested you. Someone pushed boundaries. Someone talked over you, dismissed you, or treated your words like background noise. And you responded exactly how they predicted you would. You filled the silence. You explained. You justified. You lost. This stops now. The social trap. Here's what they don't tell you about human interaction. Every conversation is a negotiation for status. Every pause is a power test. Every time you rush to fill silence, you're announcing your position in the hierarchy. And it's lower than you think. The average person speaks to avoid discomfort. They narrate their thoughts. They over-explain simple points. They seek validation through verbal excess. This is social weakness disguised as friendliness. Machiavelli understood something most never grasp. Words are cheap. Silence is expensive. And people only fear expensive things. When you speak constantly, you become predictable. Predictable people are manageable. Manageable people are controlled. Controlled people are used. The mechanism of terror, silence, terrifies people because it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty triggers the oldest part of their brain, the part that scans for threats, evaluates dominance, and determines who holds power in the room. When you stop talking, their mind races. They project meaning onto your silence. Are you angry? Judging them? Planning something? They can't tell. And that inability to read you flips their internal alarm system. Here's the pattern. They speak. You don't respond immediately. Tension builds. They speak again, this time revealing more than they intended. They're trying to fill the void you created. They're trying to regain equilibrium. But equilibrium was never the goal. Your goal is positioning. Most people mistake silence for absence. It's not. Silence is presence amplified. It forces attention toward you without effort. It makes your eventual words carry disproportionate weight. Think about the last time someone remained silent after you spoke. Your brain immediately started working. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset? What are they thinking? You started second-guessing yourself. That's the effect. And you can weaponize it. The first law: silence is status. In every social hierarchy, the person who speaks least holds the most power. This isn't theory. Watch any boardroom. Watch any negotiation. Watch any interaction where stakes are high. The subordinate explains. The superior listens. The subordinate fills pauses. The superior lets them hang. The subordinate seeks approval through words. The superior grants it through minimal acknowledgement. You've been trained to do the opposite. You've been taught that friendly means talkative, that leadership means vocal, that influence requires constant communication. All false. All designed to keep you compliant. Real authority doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It simply exists in silence as its natural expression. When you embrace strategic silence, you force others to work harder for your attention. Your words become events rather than background noise. People lean in when you speak because they've learned your words are rationed. This is how you shift from being someone who participates in conversations to someone who grants them. The second law: silence exposes every person you meet is performing. They're managing impressions. They're controlling narratives. They're hiding weaknesses behind carefully chosen words. Silence breaks the performance. When you don't react immediately, they keep talking. When they keep talking, they reveal truths they never intended to share. They fill your silence with their insecurities, their agendas, their actual thoughts beneath the script. Lawyers know this. Interrogators know this. Master negotiators know this. Silence is the most reliable truth serum that doesn't require chemicals. Here's what happens. Someone says something designed to manipulate you. Instead of responding, you stay quiet. Just 3 seconds. 4 seconds. 5. They become uncomfortable with what they just said, so they modify it, they explain it, they backtrack. And in doing so, they show you exactly what they were trying to hide. You didn't accuse them. You didn't challenge them. You simply didn't reward their manipulation with immediate engagement. And that non-reward made them expose themselves. This is how you see through people without ever directly confronting them. You create the conditions where they confront themselves. The third law. Silence is punishment. People crave acknowledgement more than they crave agreement. They'd rather you argue with them than ignore them. Argument means you consider them worth engaging. Silence means you don't. This is why silent treatment works as a social weapon, not because it's passive-aggressive, but because it removes someone from your consideration entirely. It communicates, you are not significant enough to merit my response. When someone disrespects you, and you respond with anger, you've confirmed they have power over your emotional state. When you respond with lengthy explanations, you've confirmed they deserve your justification. When you respond with silence, you've confirmed nothing, and that ambiguity destroys them. They'll try to provoke you. They'll escalate. They'll say worse things trying to crack your composure. Let them. Every escalation without your reaction makes them look increasingly unstable, while you appear increasingly controlled. Control is everything. People respect what they cannot manipulate. Silence makes you unmanipulable. It creates a boundary they cannot cross with words alone. And boundaries determine who has power in any relationship. The psychological pattern. Here's what your brain does when someone goes silent on you. It assumes the worst. Why? Because silence is how predators hunt. They don't announce themselves. They observe. They wait. They strike when conditions favor them. Your ancestors who ignored silence died. Your ancestors who feared it survived. That fear is hardwired, and you can trigger it deliberately. When you deploy strategic silence, you're activating ancient threat detection mechanisms. The other person's brain categorizes you as potentially dangerous. Not physically dangerous, but socially dangerous. Someone who might damage their status. Someone who sees through their performance. Someone who isn't impressed. This categorization changes everything. They become more careful around you, more respectful, more aware of their words. Not because you threatened them, but because your silence suggested you're evaluating them. And evaluation implies judgment. And judgment implies consequences. Most people give away their evaluation immediately through facial expressions, vocal tone, and rapid responses. You won't. You'll keep them guessing. And that uncertainty keeps them compliant. The fourth law. Silence forces investment. People value what costs them effort. When you make your attention scarce through silence, you make it valuable. When your words come slowly and carefully, people listen more intently. When you don't immediately validate them, they work harder to earn your validation. This is the opposite of how you were taught to build relationships. You were told to be warm, open, and responsive, to share freely, to engage actively. That approach makes you accessible, but accessible means common, and common means powerless. Strategic silence does the opposite. It makes others invest more energy into the interaction. They ask more questions. They seek your opinion. They try to impress you. Meanwhile, you've done nothing except withhold the one thing they expected: immediate approval. Watch what happens in your next conversation. Stay silent 2 seconds longer than feels natural. The other person will elaborate. They'll add information. They'll try to clarify. They're investing more to get less from you. That's power redistribution in real time. The person who invests more has less power. The person who receives investment while giving little has more power. Silence is how you maintain that imbalance without effort. The fifth law. Silence reveals intention. When you speak constantly, you reveal your thoughts before they're fully formed. You show your hand. You give people time to prepare counter-arguments, deflections, or manipulations. Silence lets you observe before committing. It gives you time to see what others are really after. It prevents you from being reactive, which is another word for controllable. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But here's what he also understood. Fear comes from uncertainty about consequences. And silence is pure, concentrated uncertainty. You're not threatening anyone. You're just not explaining yourself. You're not justifying. You're not seeking to be understood. You're choosing when to engage and when to withhold. That choice is power. Most people will eventually reveal their true intentions through their words. Your job isn't to match their volume. Your job is to stay quiet long enough for them to tell you everything you need to know. The advanced application. Here's where this gets strategic. You don't use silence randomly. You use it specifically in moments where others expect you to react. When someone insults you, silence. They expect defense or counterattack. You give neither. They're left holding their insult with nowhere to aim the energy. When someone asks you to explain yourself, silence. They expect justification. You give none. Your refusal to explain suggests you don't recognize their authority to demand explanations. When someone shares gossip, silence. They expect engagement shock, agreement, reciprocal gossip. You give nothing. They learn you're not a safe person to include in these exchanges. When someone tests your boundaries, silence. They expect negotiation. You demonstrate the boundary is non-negotiable through absence of discussion. Each deployment trains people how to treat you. They learn quickly. This person doesn't play the normal social games. This person doesn't need my approval. This person is dangerous to test. The sixth law. Silence as selection. Not everyone deserves your words. Most people will waste them. They'll misinterpret, misuse, or ignore what you say. Your silence is how you filter for people worth engaging with. When you stay quiet, certain people self-select out of your life. They need constant validation. They need endless conversation. They need their ego fed through interaction. These people cannot handle your silence, so they leave. Good. The people who remain are different. They respect the silence. They understand that your words have value. They don't take your engagement for granted. These are the only people you want in your inner circle. Your silence is quality control for relationships. It propels those who would drain you and attracts those who appreciate precision over volume. The dark truth. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Most communication is manipulation attempt. People talk to convince you of their value, their perspective, their worth. They talk to manage how you see them. They talk to extract things from you: time, resources, emotional labor, validation. Your silence breaks their manipulation. They can't extract what you don't give. They can't convince you of narratives you don't engage with. They can't manage your perception when you're not providing feedback. This terrifies them because it means they're working without knowing if it's effective. It means their usual social strategies fail. It means you're operating by different rules they don't understand and can't counter. A person who understands silence understands power. The person who fears silence will always be at the mercy of those who wield it. The implementation. Starting tomorrow, practice this. In every conversation, wait 3 full seconds before responding to anything. Just 3 seconds. Count them. This will feel unnatural at first. Your brain will scream at you to fill the gap. Resist. Watch what happens. People will elaborate before you even speak. They'll add context. They'll modify their statements. They'll reveal more than they intended. All because you waited 3 seconds. Once that becomes comfortable, extend to 5 seconds. And 7. Find the edge where silence creates maximum tension without breaking rapport entirely. That edge is different for every relationship, every situation, every goal. Use silence before answering questions. Use it after making statements. Use it when people expect emotional reactions. Use it strategically, not randomly. Each deployment should serve a purpose. extract truth, establish dominance, create uncertainty, force investment, maintain boundaries. The final layer Machiavelli exposed this centuries ago, but people still haven't learned. The appearance of restraint is more powerful than the display of force. Silence is restraint made visible. It suggests you could speak, could react, could engage, but you're choosing not to. That choice implies judgment. That choice implies power held in reserve. People fear what they cannot predict. Your words are predictable. Your silence is not. Your words can be argued with. Your silence cannot. Your words make you vulnerable to misinterpretation. Your silence protects you from it. This is why silence terrifies people. Not because it's mysterious. Not because it's cruel. But because it proves you don't need them. You don't need their approval. You don't need their understanding. You don't need to explain yourself to feel legitimate. And people who don't need things cannot be controlled through withholding those things. The ending, you're going to walk into conversations this week where people will test you. They'll say things designed to provoke. They'll push boundaries. They'll try to make you react. And you'll remember this. Your silence is your greatest advantage. They'll interpret it however they need to. Let them. Their interpretation is irrelevant. What matters is the power dynamic it creates. What matters is that you're no longer controllable through the expectation of response. Most people will spend their entire lives being socially manageable, reacting predictably, filling silences, seeking approval through explanation. You won't, because you understand what Machiavelli understood. The person who needs nothing from the interaction controls everything about it. Your silence terrifies them, because it proves you need nothing from them. And people who need nothing are the most dangerous people in any room. Use this carefully. Use it deliberately. Use it knowing that once you become comfortable with strategic silence, you can never go back to pointless words. You'll see every conversation differently. You'll see every relationship differently. You'll see power dynamics others remain blind to. This is how you stop being used. This is how you stop being tested. This is how you become the person others are careful around, without ever knowing exactly why they're being careful. The game was always about attention. Whoever controls their own attention controls the game. And silence is how you prove your attention is earned, not given freely. They'll keep talking. You'll keep choosing when to engage. And that choice is the difference between being powerful and being powerless. Remember, words are common. Silence is rare. And rare things determine status.